Good morning, everyone. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome you here in Düsseldorf. I hope you had a good journey here. I'm very honored to have the first presentation, which should give you some insights on the first ProSpirits business report. And it's exactly about the topics that you mentioned. And the numbers are small here, but what I would like to invite you, if you would like the slides of the report, please send an email to the team here, or you send an email to me and you will get it all in your email box. And we also have the full report on later. We had the first time ever done a ProSpirits report. The sampling, the survey was out in autumn last year. And after already doing the Pro Wine survey for 8 years, we thought now it's the time for spirits, because spirits is growing so much. And we have a very interesting sample of 216 respondents, for which about half are from the production side, producers, brand owners, and about half are from the trade side. And what is a real honor for me is that they come from 39 countries. So that shows that's a big, strong international scope of the whole study. I would like to show you 3 points today and would love to discuss with you. And of course, the first thing is about the challenges and the opportunities. And I start out with the challenges and go on how we move on. Digitalization, that's something where the industry is on its toes, but no one really knows yet how to do it, is my belief. So if you have an insight, that I would really look forward to hear from you. And also about the future trends, and that is exactly taking up what you told about which are the spirits of the future. So let's get moving. I'm sorry for the size of this. I will read it to you. It's very, very simple. The challenges are of economic nature. It starts with reduced spending power and economic global downturn, because at the moment there's hardly any country in the world where you have growing incomes. And we all know that spirits is a discretionary item. So it's not really urgent required for making a living, but it's something to have fun and something to have a good leisure time. The third thing is, of course, stricter alcohol policies. You heard all about the WHO's news saying that any drop of alcohol is too much and any drop of alcohol will deteriorate your health. And of course, we are expecting that this will impose further challenges for the industry. Cost of inefficiency and rising costs. I mean, we had all inflation over the last years in many countries, and it has been very hard to carry over those costs on the prices in the markets. Because the consumer have lower incomes, they can't really spend on it. So the producers are kind of squeezed in the middle, particularly the smaller ones who don't have the efficiency in improving the production or having higher purchase power on their ingredients. Health concerns, you already know about this, and depending of sourcing for commodities, which we haven't asked in autumn, was trade restrictions. But, you know, the world is changing so quickly that it's very difficult to react as fast as the world is changing. I can tell you we've done this for wine, and trade restriction was number 4. If you would ask today, it would be number 1. What are the opportunities? Well, we differentiated for trade, which is the dark line, and the producer side, which is the red line. And on the trade side, there are 2 big things: innovation, premiumization. Innovation means having something new. We will see also maybe related to low and no alcohol, tapping into new stories. Premiumization, that's not an easy beast. As we know that the super premium ones are hardly changing. The premium part is fighting, and the lower part is not doing really badly. So we see that this is the way to go, but how to do it, maybe some of the industry experts, I'm looking forward to it ourselves. If we look on the producer side, there are 2 things. It's innovation and new markets. Well, of course, you know, there are countries in the world which have still potential to grow. And in the full report later on, we will see it's North America still, it's some part of Europe, where the producers believe this is potentially very important for the future for us to bring our brands there and to tap into new revenue streams. So we see the trade and the production side has different perspectives on that. Well, also the producers say more channels. I'm not only on specialty retail, I'm not only in the on-premise, in the bars, but well, what about direct to consumers? What about direct sales through e-commerce? How can I capture my consumers and bind them for repeated purchases? I think this is something we will see in the future, to have a closer relationship to the consumers. Well, digitalization, I spoke to some of the experts in this field. They say it's way too low on the agenda. It should be much higher up. So digitalization, it's about communication, it's about direct to consumers. And I see you're doubting, so I'm looking forward to your ideas about that. Sustainability, well, the last years have been about sustainability in many countries. And what we're hearing is that, well, maybe the attention got lost a little bit. Now we have more serious concerns about making money. Sustainability is nice to have, but on our lists of items for the current things, it is at the bottom, and it doesn't mean it stays there, but maybe it's not the number one at the moment. Digitalization, I'm sorry, there is usually a dark thing. We haven't looked that this is compatible, but I hope you apologize for that. We have on the right-hand side agreement to the statements, on the red things is disagreement. Well, digital tools are important for segmentation. If you have a direct-to-consumer channel, you can easily see who is buying what and who is reacting to which story and to which newsletter, and how can I maybe capture this person best in the next time. So that's basically where there's a strong agreement in the industry. At the same time, there's agreement in a sense, well, we have potential to improve our skills. We know that digitalization is important and it's coming, but well, we are not fully prepared yet, and we need someone to help us or to get better ourselves to know how to do it and to find cost-efficient ways. Yesterday, I've been speaking at a wine conference, and there was a big wine retailer, and he was saying, well, we spend so much money on digital systems to make them work, for the data to collaborate, and at the end, we find out the consumer needs to stay in the center of our concerns, and digitalization is just a tool. It's second, try to make it cost efficient. And also the tools are developing so quickly that sometimes it's better to wait for a better tool than to spend a lot of money in tools that are not collaborating very perfectly. So if you have any ideas, I look forward to discussing that with you. Well, again, it's segmentation and artificial intelligence. It's the last point. Well, there's still some distance towards this topic on how to make it work. I guess most of you have used ChatGPT or something for improving your writing or for getting information, but how to have ChatGPT or AI into the processes, I think this is still something, a riddle we have to solve, and we have to make it work. Communication. I know we all know that spirits, it's about communication of benefits, of value, of storytelling. And what you see here is, well, it doesn't really matter which story you tell, as long as you have something to tell. There's not a big difference. So number one is, we need to do storytelling. We need to enrich our product with benefits, with extra things to tap into the imagination of the consumers. Lifestyle appeal, heritage and tradition, social connection and inspiring experience. These are the number 1 to 5. Luxury and exclusivity, you see, it's not top of the list. Although, premiumization, how are you going to do that? But I think at the moment we are all living in a time where luxury and exclusivity is maybe not that easy to reach at the moment. Exotic flavors, adventure and romance, that are at the end of the list, so maybe not as very good at the moment. But basically, this gives you a lot of opportunities to play with your brand and to position it according to who you are, who your brand is, and how you can best communicate an authentic story. Well, which are the top spirits for the future? And this is almost one of my last slides. I have to tell you, it's about low and no alcoholic beverages, and it's about RTDs. Low, number one, ready to drink, number two, alcohol free, number three. And then it's going down to rum, whiskey, tequila, gin, liqueur, vodka, sake, brandy, cognac, and corn. And of course, this differs across the markets. I know that you all work in different markets, and I know, for instance, that in America, tequila has been much stronger than it has been so far in Europe, but that there are strong opportunities for tequila to improve its status here. But that is, I think, giving a lot of challenges, but it's at the same time responding to the challenge of alcohol policy, of potential regulation. And I'm also looking very much forward here to taste some of the innovations and some of the low-no products and to see what advances you had done in this field. I can tell you only, I'm coming from the wine sector. For wine, it's so much harder to do a low-no wine because you can't add anything. So you have a much more innovative playing field of adding aromas, of adding tannins, of adding extracts to your products, to filling the gap the alcohol left. So you have, from my personal perspective, coming from wine, you are in a much better position to play in this field than the wine sector does. Okay, so this is a very, very intriguing question. What will be the share of alcohol-free products in spirits? I think we asked by 2030, so in 5 years' time. We asked every respondent to put in a number, and the middle number, so putting the 216 in a row, onto selecting the number 113, this person said, well, 10% of the market share and 8% of the volume share. And to everyone I showed the number, they're saying, wow, that's high. Well, that's a way to go. So I'm looking forward to your thoughts on this. The top 25%, so the top the people are saying, well, it might even be 15%, whereas the low 25 said, no, 5%, we won't go above that. And what you also see here is, well, in tendency, people believe low-no might be maybe having a little lower prices. So the revenue share is a little bit lower than the volume share. And this is, of course, something, for a challenge for the industry. But this is something I would really love to discuss with you of what you think about it. Just to give you an idea, the ProSpirits Report is forthcoming. And if you stay tuned with the spirits business, you will get all the news about it. And we also have, of course, the expectation for the market segments and the sales channels. And we will have expectations on the different countries in the world where the producers believe there might be a potential. And we will bring that out soon after program. But I apologize, there would have been too much to show here. And we give to you the taste bites to digest in the future. Thank you very much for your attention. And if you have any question, feel free. You find me, Simone Loos. I'm at Geisenheim University. It's close to Frankfurt, Wiesbaden. Please send me a letter, connect to me on LinkedIn, and I've tried to respond very quickly.
Thank you, Simone. That was a brilliant introduction into the report and some really interesting findings. We're going to invite a couple of extra speakers to the stage. We have Niksha joining us, and Donasian, I think you are also joining us, and we're going to go into a little more detail and gauge some extra insights. So just to give you an idea of who we have joining us here. So we just heard from the brilliant Professor Dr. Simone Loos from Hochschule Geisenheim University, who led the ProSpirits Report. We have Niksha Porovich to my right here, who is the founding manager of Pacific and Lime. And we have Donasian Ferrari, Group Communications Manager from La Martiniquez Bardenay. So thank you all for joining. Please do feel free to take a seat. I'm going to take a pew as well. So we just heard a great introduction to the report from Simone. I would love to know particularly from Don and Niksha, the ProSpirits Report, was there anything in there that surprised you or that you found particularly interesting?
When I looked at the report, so for me it was interesting how the producer view and the distributors view, sorry. And many times I saw that the producer basically is more challenging in many aspects than the distributor. So it still shows a kind of understanding of the supply chain and the perspective. So the producer basically, of course, invests a lot. He wants to make his business case running. And on the other hand, the distributor is challenged with the economical challenges, which are nowadays very visible, especially. And of course, partners do a strategy at the beginning, but how this will be then later commonly handled, you see there is more a push from the bottom up, and on the other side, of course, as always, from the market, top down. And I think here, especially nowadays, with this report, it shows that both partners basically have to work better together, especially nowadays.
First of all, thank you, Simone, for the beautiful survey. So I will present a French company called La Martiniquaise Bardinet. We are in all 5 A15. We have tea, we have coffee, we have good espresso martini just for Melita. So please come have a drink with us, with or without alcohol. Concerning the survey, yes, I agree with most of the trends. Of course, it's very different in mature market and emerging market. In our company, we really believe in non-alcoholic. It's already 10% of our business, and also RTDs is really growing fast for us. So we are investing a lot on that, and we really believe on those products. After, for all the craftsmanship, etc., of course, it's important, but what is craft? What is a craft product? I have no idea. What is a premium product? I have no idea. Everybody is craft, everybody is premium. And at the end of the day, if craft means small volume, this is not where the business is. So we have always to navigate between craft, small volume, and also big volume mainstream product. And we believe that we can do both very well in our company.
I think that's really interesting to hear how significant non-alcoholic spirits are to your company now. 10% is a massive volume.
Yeah, we are number 2 in non-alcoholic spirits. So yeah, we are very proud of that. We don't communicate a lot, but here in Provence we have a no-law stand within our booth. So yeah, you can try some pretty good sparkling wine, non-alcoholic, and also non-alcoholic RTD.
And are you seeing that interest coming more from the on-trade and from bartenders, or is it more off-trade and directly to consumers?
I mean, you know that mocktails are growing in the bar, and at home, I think it's a bit less, except for the dry January, where people try to do like mocktail at home, but usually at home, when you don't want alcohol, just have a Perrier or a Coke or a ginger ale. I don't see a lot of people making non-alcoholic drinks at home. But in our company, we are very famous to promote home tail. So we do a lot of activation with big supermarkets like Carrefour, Auchan. We do a live tasting online, and we educate the average consumer how to make a margarita or mojito at home. And usually we propose also a virgin version of the drinks.
And one of the findings in the report was companies said the biggest challenge for them is reduced spending power, which perhaps isn't unsurprising given the rising costs that we're all seeing. Is there anything that brands can do to keep sales up and to retain some consumer loyalty?
Yes, of course. So basically, the brands have to focus on the principle of a brand. So from our perspective, it's first you have to see where you're in the segment, independent of what's happening outside in the market. So are you a premium brand or a value brand? And based from that perspective, where you put yourself, you need to also develop a desire for the customer that he still is willing to enjoy your brand. So what's the ecosystem of your brand, independent of the market situation, why I want to enjoy it? So these are key questions which need to be reflected, independent of the market situation, the core value of a brand. This, of course, then you have to react on the market. I mean, what you can improve nowadays is basically you have to verify downstream with your suppliers, how you basically managing the costs together, and upstream the same thing. Just example, if you take now US with the tariff war, which is basically on the stage at the moment, they have to verify how can they together keep a reasonable price for the customer to buy the brand still in the targeted volume. But nevertheless, the brand has to still have a reason to be bought by the consumer. So I think this is a task which is always coming. Sometimes it's tougher, sometimes maybe more comfortable. But focusing on those core values is a key principle also today.
Yeah, I completely agree. The control of the supply chain is very important. So you make money when you sell your product, but you make money also when you buy before that. So you have really to negotiate everything with all your supplier. And if you can control the production from A to Z, you have a way better power. I know it's tequila, it's complicated with agave because it takes a lot of time. But for instance, us, for our rum business, we own our sugarcane field. We try to really control the production, and also we need to explain more why it's expensive to the consumer. For example, in our blended scotch, we use a lot of corn to produce. We buy it from Ukraine. So when we tell our clients, okay, with what's happening in Ukraine, corn is more expensive, they really understand. So we have also to be a bit more transparent on all the cost that we have. But it's a big, big issue, the cost, the final cost for the consumer.
The top 3 future key trends in spirits from the report were authentic stories and unique production methods, origin and regional identity, and craft and artisanal spirits. What do you believe will be the key drivers behind the spirits industry in the next year or 2?
Actually, the categories you mentioned, more or less in a synchronized approach. So for the customers or the consumer, it's very important. They're more interested where it comes from. So if I take for Pacific Lime Tequila, when we are basically presenting our product, people are more interested what's agave, where it comes from, how long does it need to grow, how is the process to produce it, what are the differences. So people get more and more interested in the process than why was it consumed in the past, what's the heritage of, what's the history of that spirit. And basically, when, for example, we do this teaching of tequila or mezcal, where we also come from in the past, it's so important to give them more background, because the reseller in the HoReCa chain, he needs also to understand what he's giving to others. It's not only storytelling, but it's one aspect. What is the story about the brand, etc. But this is really a key thing, that education about the product, about the culture, about the terroir, where it comes from, how to consume it, why, is one of the key elements for spirits where we are moving.
Yeah, talking about terroir, in our company, we invest a lot in spirit tourism. So we really want the tourists, the people that can come and visit the distillery. So far we have around 700,000 people visiting our distilleries. And we believe that's really the best way to hook them forever. And after they are super loyal to the brand, and they learn and they understand what's happening on spot. And also it's very cool for the local community, and it helps all the local ecosystem, etc. So we really invest on spirit tourism for that. And yeah, I agree with you. People want more transparency on one part, but at the end of the day, they also just want to have fun and to enjoy and to have a more like casual consumption. Sometimes they don't want to intellectualize. Anyway, you understood me too much. And yeah, just want to have fun and to have pleasure. So we have also to put pleasure in center of everything. Okay, techniques, craftsmanship is super important, obviously, but just also have fun and enjoy is very important. Can I tell a quick joke? Can I tell a joke?
Can,
okay,
yeah.
Melita, sorry about the joke in advance. I'm going to translate. Okay, so it's a guy, he go to the doctor, and the doctor tell him a very bad news. He say, okay, you're going to die in 3 months. So he's shocked, of course. So he say, oh, what can I do? What should I do? And the doctor say, okay, so now no sex, no cigarettes, and no alcohol. Say, why? I'm going to die. Yes, but times will seem very long to you. So moderation, yes, but pleasure is also important in life.
That was an analogy I wasn't expecting our audience to take away, but thank you so much for sharing. Simone, I'd love to also hear your input as well as to what you think the key drivers will be, having, you've worked in depth on the reports and your experience in the industry. What do you think will be some key drivers?
I think the key drivers is communicate enjoyment, communicate this brand's experience. We see the same in spirits and wine. You are succeeding if you get the consumers on premise, if you get the consumers in your distillery, in your wine estate, and you give them a great experience. They have sensory pleasure, they remember this, and then they become loyal. And of course, it's hard to go to an agave farm, but you can have very interesting experience at the bar, at events, go to where the young consumers is. And I can only tell you, I just talked before I came here, if you look in this hall, there's so many young people. So you are the future. If you go in the halls of wine, the age is higher. So if you want to communicate to the young people, take young people doing the communication. And that's where we can only learn, wine sector can learn from the spirit sector. And also having professional companies, that's where you are in advance than the wine sector. So you have communication budgets. I don't doubt it for your future.
Thank you. That's really interesting to hear, and it's good to see the insights from all three of you. Don, I'm going to come specifically to you as you work, in the marketing world. And we've seen it really evolve in the last decade. There's obviously been such a huge rise in social media, different ways to connect with consumers. How challenging and important has it been for you guys at La Martinique's Bardenay to adapt your marketing to meet those needs? And how have you been able to successfully do that?
It's a good question, Melita. Actually, the marketing plans are very different. For example, in France, we can't do advertisement on television. We have a lot of rules in some country. It's completely free. We can do everything, so we have to adapt a lot. Also, if we are good marketer, we need to target young people. So basically, we need to target boy and girl 12 years old. I don't say they should drink now, but in 10 years, we need to understand what they will want in 10 years. So today, we have to already start to understand what really young people have in mind. Go to their platform, obviously. As I said before, I don't say you need to drink Petrus or Glenmorangie 30 years in a plastic glass, but to relax, to explain that it's about fun, about also sustainable development, and also about health, because alcohol is not good for the health. So we have also to tell the young people that, okay, it's not good if you drink too much, but those make poison, so you have to drink less and maybe more expensive. So for us, it's all about the margin at the end of the day. So we are super happy to sell less bottle, but more expensive. And again, to target those young people, it's not easy, because they're changing their mind a lot. They don't have a lot of loyalty to the brand, so we need to adapt and to be very flexible and adapt all the time, because it's changing very fast.
It is a very fast evolving market, particularly with the digital advancements. And Niksha, coming to you with your distribution experience, so another part of the industry that is evolving all the time, distribution and partnerships there. What do you think makes a successful distributor and importer partnership? And what advice do you have to build and maintain those relationships if you're a newer brand to market?
So basically, we mentioned it in the beginning, the co-work between the supply chain partners. So for example, what we do with our distributors, first of all, we teach them about the product in advance. It's not only marketing, giving the goodies to sell it better around, but it's also to explain and understand the product. So there are several options you can do. Of course, many agave brands do it, and we do it, of course, as well. It's like online classes, which is very simple in the first step. So we invite from our distributors many times the bar managers, for example. And then we have a Q&A session, which is the first step to really come to concrete questions they have. They need to understand the product and to resell it to their consumers. The second thing is, it's a new trend also in the agave business, and I think it's very helpful. Simone mentioned it's not easy to invite everyone, but you have, of course, your core clients. And them to invite on-site, for our case in Mexico, to the agave fields, see how the production is, to even take hands on it, to smell it from the agave, from the field up to the final product. This brings identification and understanding of the heritage and the complexity to create such a product. So I think it's still coming back to two core things. It's understanding where it comes from. It's not just consuming. At the end, it is. But today, many people are more interested, what do I drink? What do I enjoy? We speak about enjoy responsibly, alcohol. And it's one of the key things today, because you also see a trend at the moment in some countries that less alcohol is also a topic. And on the other hand, to enjoy it more with the brand's philosophy, but also with the heritage of the category.
Thank you. I think it's been interesting to hear from all of you about the importance of creating tangible touch points with the consumer. And as you said, it's not so easy to maybe get them to Mexico or to other countries, but maybe to bring activations, to bring your brand's DNA and products to the consumer in their home markets in creative and engaging ways. As we continue as an industry to navigate quite a challenging environment, what brand qualities do you think will be important for future growth?
Brand qualities, yeah, I think that the most important is to have strong value, to be truth, and to tell the truth to the consumer, because brands really must respect the consumer. Consumer is not stupid, obviously. Consumer is always right as well. So we need to understand them, to give him what he wants, and also not to tell too much bullshit, because at the end of the day now, with internet, with transparency, everybody knows everything. So you need to be true from the beginning, and also, yeah, of course, to be sustainable. In some categories, it's more easy than others. For instance, in our rhum agricole, same style as rhum from Haiti right there. When we press the sugarcane, we use a solid part to produce energy. So our 5 agricole distilleries produce more energy than they consume. So we do also biogas with methanization, etc. So this kind of talk is always very well perceived with the consumer. So yeah, so be sustainable and be true with your value.
Yeah, it's basically what Don said, the transparency, but it's also, a task to proactively show what transparency means and for what values you're standing as a brand for. So each brand is a different scope, of course. And reliability is a part. So can I rely on my brand in good and bad times, like in a partnership? And I think these are core values which you have to prove. Are you accessible? Also in at the same or similar expectation. It could be price, it could be quality. So these are key elements. You have to make sure that your brand can still hold it.
And invest in packaging. If you think your packaging is good, it can be better, always. It's very, very important. Packaging.
Very good. And Simone, anything to add to what was said there?
These are the two industry experts who have proven to be successful. I think two things is what you meant availability. It's mental and physical availability. So you have to communicate, be in the consumer's heads, but where they are, you have to be there to be purchased. Because it's no sense of being available here, but if you come to the on-premise, you're not there, well, they can't buy you. That's the only thing I can add from my perspective.
Amazing. Thank you, Simone, Don, and Niksha, for all of your insights there. Please give up for our panelists this morning, and thank you for joining.